Hello, hey, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping. It's where we review one of the top racing cards from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going back to Florida for week number 7 of the racing season, but in a photo finish, it's Tampa Bay Downs in Tampa, Florida, that manages to beat both Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Tampa has 4 stakes races, and the pick 4 starts with race number 9, and it finishes in race number 12. There are 3 stakes races in the pick 4 on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. I've got Ray Torado, who's going to join us from snowy Staten Island, New York. Ray, how you doing?
Good, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I guess I'm sorry to say so. Yep.
And each week he joins us from what is soon to be soggy Temecula, California. Joe English, how you doing, Joe?
I'm well, Rich. How about you guys? How's everything?
I'm doing okay. And tonight, instead of our normal question where I ask you a trivia question regarding or horse racing, I'm going to give a response to a fan question that we got recently. In response, just a little biography on who the Three Broke Guys are. And I'm going to go ahead and go first. So folks want to know who it is, who we are, how did we get into this? How did the Three Broke Guys come to be? And I'll just explain to you guys that my name is Rich Sharp, Richard Sharp, if you're out there looking for me. I am Zuma Point on Twitter. I live in Southern California, so I live in Murrieta, California, not too far away from Joe English. I love to play at Santa Anita and Del Mar. I have to say that my favorite wager of all time is still the pick 4, which is the wager that we play on this show every single week. And my philosophy is every single year when I am looking for the Kentucky Derby winner, I'm not really looking for the best horse in the country. I'm simply looking for the best horse in California. I narrow it down that way. So I'm going to hand it off to my first broke guy and my racing analyst and my longtime friend. It's Joe English from Temecula, California.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. My name's Joe English, Joe English 16 on Twitter. I've been handicapping since I've been about 12 years. I think I remember maybe I was 11. So it's been about 4 decades. A friend of mine who was a little older than I, and his father used to take me to the now defunct Roosevelt Raceway in New York on Long Island, and that's how I got into handicapping. And obviously, I switched from the standardbreds to the thoroughbreds. My favorite wager, my favorite wager is whatever I can win at. I like making win wagers if the odds are right. Multi-race wagers, pick 4s are kind of difficult sometimes. You can go a long time without hitting a good one. Pick 3s and daily doubles are usually work for me. I've actually had most success hitting exactas and tries. But like I said, I've been doing handicapping for nearly 40 years now, about as long as I know our third broke guy, Ray Torado. Ray, what is your favorite bet? Give everybody in the audience a little bit of information about you.
All right, my name is Ramon Torado. People call me Ray. If I had a stage name, I'd be called Ray Rock. Actually, I'm Ray Rock 4 on Twitter. I'm from Staten Island, New York. By trade, I'm a reporting accountant for Italian Bank. I've been friends with Joe English, the other broke guy, since 6th grade. It's like forever. 40 years. We started in the OTBs of New York City. 1984, I think that was the first year I started looking at the races. I met and became friends with Rich Sharp through Joe 3 years ago. We actually went to the Breeders' Cup. It was awesome. Tracks I like to handicap are, of course, the NYRA circuit, Belmont, Saratoga, Aqueduct. I like now the Southern California, so I give me a complete day 'cause I could go, from one to the other. Del Mar and Santa Anita. My preferred bet usually is doubles and pick 3s and pick 4s. I like to, bet horizontally. They started to call me the Keno Man because I like to spread my tickets and, try and just spread them and stay alive in these bets. Because they're so like 50 cents wage or whatever. Um, I do like the DRF. Actually, I have a fondness for BizNet now, thanks to Rich. I love the format of BizNet, and I really got into it, and I've been using that one. So, all right, that's me, that's us, and here we go. Three broke guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. And I like that Ray gave you some of the history there. So and the history behind the name, Three Broke Guys Handicapping, it goes to one of the broke guys. So Joe English gets credit for that name. The picture up on the screen that I'm showing to everybody right now is of us at the one of the only 3 times that we've actually ever spent together. So we've only been together 3 days in the entire lifetime for all of us. Joe and Ray have known each other going all the way back to New York, but we have only been together at 2 different occasions. Once at Joe and Denise's wedding, and then again at the Breeders' Cup in 2014. That's the picture that's up on the screen right now that I'm hoping that everybody can see. That's my famous image of the 3 broke guys handicapping. We had a bit of a rough day that day. We came within a whisker of picking up the pick 4. And I got my heart broken into pick 3 that day. And as we were leaving, Joe pointed out that there's that TV show that's on that's called 2 Broke Girls. And sure enough, the name 3 Broke Guys Handicapping was coined.
Wow.
And it stuck. And here we are, nearly, I believe, 51 episodes later of 3 Broke Guys Handicapping. And we get together on every Friday night right here on Google Hangouts via YouTube Live. As you heard, Joe is Joe English 16. Ray is Ray Rock 4 at Twitter. And I am Zuma Point at Twitter. You can follow each of us individually. You can also follow us as a group at 3 Broke Guys Capping, if I'm not mistaken. Or three Broke Guys, if you're looking for that up on Twitter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And now we are going to move into Tampa Downs after a little bit of a walk down history road. So for everybody who's out there, I will tell you that last week was Santa Anita. And I will bring up our, let's see if I've got a history chart here for you. Get back on here. A lot of that. Sometimes Google can be a little funky here, and I was using Google Photos to show us our information there. And I'll pop this up for you guys. All right, so last week was Santa Anita. We did not hit the pick 4, and I will tell you folks that it is painful enough to miss on the pick 4, but it's like the disappointment is parlayed when a favored Bob Baffert horse knocks me, or in this case us, out of the pick 4, especially opportunity at Santa Anita. So we did get 3 out of 4. And what I'm showing up here on the screen right now is we are hitting, not a wonderful, but we are hitting 58% now on the season. If you guys are wondering what the little doohickey there, that's our scratch from Aqueduct for the 1 week. So we have moved back up to 75% these last 2 weeks for 58% on the season. I'll take it. However, we are still sitting at a shameful 0 for 6 in the pick 4 so far this season. So let's hope that our trip back to Southern Florida is going to help us out. So, time for a brief weather update from Tampa, Florida. The forecast for Saturday calls for a pleasant, pleasant with plenty of sunshine. A high of 80 degrees. The winds are at 6 miles an hour, and there's no rain in the forecast in Florida in February. So. A total of 12 races. There are 4 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick 4, beginning in race number 9. It concludes in race number 12. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. The outriders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the gate. It's pick 4 post time.
Pop it.
Let's do it.
Race number 9. The approximate post time is 4:15 p.m. Eastern. It's a mile and a 16th on the turf. It is the Tampa Bay Stakes, a Grade 3. Purse $150,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 10 starters and your morning line favorite at a lukewarm 3-1 is in post number 3. Casaqui for trainer Ignacio Correas and ridden by Robbie Alvarado. Joe, I did some research on this, and I believe in some foreign tongue, Casaqui must translate to you again. We've seen this horse quite a few times, buddy, so it's up to you. Go ahead. Take it away in the Tampa Bay Stakes.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like the favorite a little bit. Corrales is 6 for 19 at Tampa over the last 5 years with a positive ROI 272. And if you change that to just the turf and not including the dirt, he's actually all of the six winners have come on turf, 6 for 23, and the ROI goes up to 366. And one of the ironic things is that Corrales is 1 for 19 in graded stakes over the last 2 years. And guess who the winner was? It was this horse in the Arlington in the Arlington Handicap, the Grade 3 that you see 4 races back. So obviously he hasn't had much success in graded stakes, but this is probably the star of his barn. I'm gonna just like Rich crossed out that last race. I'm willing to give him a pass on that race. He's an old class horse. He's been facing a lot better. You see, Mondial East and Miss Temple City. Ironic is Tourist, who is the Breeders' Cup Mile winner. So he's been facing a lot better than this. The Visadero a while back, who's running tomorrow in the Grade 1 Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap. So he's the most likely winner. He's probably the classiest animal. But I actually have a nice long shot, and it's funny, I didn't mention in my introduction that I like to use the DRF formulator PPs. And Rich, if you just scroll down to the horse below Cassock Week, the number 4, Turbo Street, you look at horses from Australia and you kind of wonder, okay, well, what's going on? You see, Rich circled, he hasn't raced for 6 months. But Brian Lynch is really good horseman. Obviously, he trains a horse. Let's see. I'm trying to think. He ran. Was it 2 weeks ago that Power Alert won at Gulfstream Park?
Yeah, that's right.
In the turf sprint. He was an Australian bred. He was one of Brian Lynch's four foreign imports that have won over the past 5 years, and he's 4 for 7 in that category. So the guy knows what he's doing, and if you scroll down to the workouts, Rich, this one has been working really well. And he's been working really well at Palm Beach Downs. Yeah, you see that bullet 59 and change, 48 and 3, 59 and 3 before that. This horse has been working really well. And I kind of think this horse is going to outrun its odds. 15 to 1 on the morning line. Give me Julian Leperoux with Brian Lynch. I'll take that. I'll take 15 to 1. That'd be a nice way to start off a pick 4. So those two would be on my top line. I like the 1, Inspector Lindley, a little bit. And I also like the 9, Cocomon for Eddie Keneally, Daniel Centeno, the local rider. And like I said, I like Inspector Lindley a little bit more because of the inside post. The outside posts don't necessarily have as much success at Tampa. Not that you can't win from there, but I'd be willing to take the horse that's going to save ground, Johnny Velasquez for Shug McGahee. But the 9 at 8 to 1 is an interesting shot too, because he's been facing some pretty good ones. Thatcher Street, Plu, and the Pizza Man. He's been earning respectable figures, and 7 of 26 wins, 6 more finishes in the exacta, so at least half the time in the exacta. Local jockey, 8 to 1 on the morning line. Nice work at Palm Meadows, another 59 and 2 around the dogs on the turf, which is really motoring. So this horse has a good chance too. But the 3 and the 4 are on my top line: Cassock and Turbo Street. And the 1, Inspector Lindley, and the 9, Cocomon are underneath for me. So 3, 4, 1, 9 in that order for Joe English. Ray, what do you have to say about the Tampa Bay Handicap?
I'm going to use 4 horses here. Potentially 3 in my top line. I'm going to start off, I like with number 6, Catapult. You mentioned him. He's the winner of 3 of 6 for Chad Brown, Jose Ortiz. Good combination. He's a speedy type, so I like him to stalk the leaders, and he'll have a good position around the backstretch. He's a non-graded stake winner, so he'll be looking for his first grade 3 here. And coming up for slight layoff, so he should run well. He's fresh, and he has some good figures. I also like your horse number 9, Cocomon. He's a claimer. This is one of our 3 BG angles that we've established. That claimer steps up into graded stakes, can be competitive. If they have the figures. This horse is facing better. He's got a good prep off the layoff at the track for this. Just missed by a neck. I like to switch to Centennial. He's perhaps a top jockey. One of the top jockeys there on the local race days. She's 28% at the meet. The thing is that the post could push him back a little bit. He has some work to do. So if he can get a good trip, he'll be in the picture. I do like the horse from the rail, like you said, 1, Inspector Lindley, competitive in grade 3s last year, winner of the grade 3 Saranac in Saratoga. You got Johnny V, Shug McGahee, connections from New York. He was outclassed in the Hill Prince, but he raced too bad. you get the distance. Just he was in contention, but you see Cameron getting beat to patrol end of the time. Those are some monsters, so he just finished right behind them. So he needs a good break to save ground and keep his position. Underline, I like number 8, Bondurant. He's 8-1. He's coming off a layoff. This horse looks like he wants to go longer, but with a good pace, he's a deep closer. He might get up there for. And then Brian Hernandez and Ian Wilkes. That's a solid local combination. They're shipping in, and he's 8-1. He's coming up for layoff 2 since November. He ran the Commonwealth, just missed. So those are my picks there. Like the 6-9-1 underneath the 8. Rich, what you gonna say about the Tampa Bay down the stake?
Thanks, Ray. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys have already covered the 2 horses that I liked on top. So, and as you can see here, this is if I have the big bank rule, then I'm actually going pretty deep in this one because I found this to be a very difficult race. But having to narrow down the way that we normally like to do for this show, I've actually got the 8 on the outside here, so I've got Bondurant kind of peeking in, just so you know, Ray. So he's not quite in my top 3, but I did like the angle back here on Bondurant that you pointed out. When I looked at the profile for this particular kind of a race, if you notice here, 5% go. This is a sample size of 38 races going a mile and a 16th at Tampa. 5% have gone wire to wire. 5%. I mean, that's European numbers. I mean, that you don't see that anywhere. And actually, only 34% combined. For a track like Tampa Bay, that actually does have. If I had an emoji for it, I wish I had emojis in here. You'd have the eyebrow going up because that is something to take note of. That only a third out of 38 races, only 13, maybe 12 out of 38 so far have gone to horses that were leading at the first or second call at the beginning, as opposed to 42% showing up winning. That I got this S type next to him, and when you looked in here, you see I was all over Bondurant because, as it shows out, he's the only one who shows as a deep closer in here. That being said, I didn't use him. Joe covered the reasons that I like the 3 best. You guys also covered the reasons why I like the 6 second best. Chad Brown, Jose Ortiz, love that combination. So I liked all that. The only one that you didn't cover for me and is not going to make it into our ticket, but I would bring up is the 10, the horse without a rider. I feel like I am kind of betting just a little bit blind here. I have no idea what's going on here, but I have a lot of faith in Mark Cathy, a lot of faith in Mark Cassie, and I do believe that he'll find somebody competent to ride his pony down here in the Tampa Bay Stakes. And Conquest Panthera was once upon a time, and everybody, for those of you who heard a little introduction there, and the history is that Rich likes to bet the California horses. So a horse who started out here in California and did really good, as a matter of fact, might be one of the last times that we get to sit there and talk about horses like American Pharoah are on his page. There's Calculator on his page. There's Texas Red. Sure, that was back when Barack was president, but it's still, it's relevant to this. Those are back in 2014. Conquest Panthera was once upon a time kind of a somebody, and Mark Cassidy switched him over to the turf, and he came back in November of 2016 up there at Woodbine, and actually showed that maybe he hadn't slipped off as much as you would normally think for a horse who'd been off that long. He won an 11-horse race there at Woodbine, came right back, went over to Gulfstream Park, 7.5 furlong turf race with Jose Lezcano aboard, wins that one in a 10-horse race. And now Mark Cassidy is showing me a lot of confidence in that he's had a race in November. He's had a race in January. Here he comes again in February. If this horse is back to where he once was, he could be. And again, as Joe was talking about, looking for something to pop. So for those out there who are listening, just, to me, prattle on there and things like that. My top 2 were the 3 and the 6th, for the reason that my 2 fellow broke guys kind of picked. And I will take the 10 as a backup choice. Ray is on the 1, the 6, and the 9 on his top line, if I'm not mistaken. And he's got the 8 on his backup line. And I believe I've got Joe with the 3 and the 4 on his top line, with the 1 and the 9 on the backup line. All righty. And I am going to go ahead and come on back. Hang on one second. And we are going to go ahead and move along to race number 10. And race number 10 going a mile and a 16th on the main track. This is the Sam F. Davis Stakes. It's a Grade 3. The purse is $250,000, which includes $50,000 from other sources. Who knows where the money comes in from Florida and Tampa? They get them. This one's for 3-year-olds only. 10 Kentucky Derby points on the line here for the winner. 9 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 8. McCracken, trained by Ian Wilkes and ridden by Brian Hernandez, comes in as your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. All right, Ray, it's the second Saturday in February, and we are officially on the Derby Trail. And as this is one of the last 10-point races, are we going to see any of these guys on the first Saturday in May?
Well, this is a race where you have some developing horses. So if they keep developing, I think you could see them. Especially my top choice. I like Fact Finding number 3. He's 3 for 3. He won the overnight stake, Gulfstream at a mile by 7. Drawn away. He's a speedy type. He's tested for class here. Pletcher, I think last year was 1-2 in this race with Destin and Outwork, if I remember. And they ripped up the track. So this horse could develop into a Derby horse. This could be his Derby horse. He's got a lot of confidence for him in this position. And, Giant Velasquez up there, so he could, come from off the pace. He can go wide or wide, so it looks like a very versatile horse. I do like the 8th favorite, McCracken. He's also 3 for 3. He's actually a Grade 2 winner, Kentucky Jockey Club winner. He's coming off a 2.5-month layoff for Ian Wilkes, and Brian Hernandez has ridden all 3 times. He's going to need a good pace here, and he comes from the back. He's probably looking for more distance. And if you notice, 3 races at Churchill Downs, so if he makes the Derby, he's got 3 solid races on the Churchill Downs track, so that'll be an advantage. But he'll have a lot to do here to keep a winning, get the points, and he might be there. There's some good horses out there from 2 years old. They haven't come out yet. I do like number 9, No Dozing. He's one of these 2-year-olds who raced last year, the Remsen. He got beat by Motown. He raced in the Breeders' Cup Futurity Grade 1. He was, prompt and just tired a little bit. Actually, say he was bumped and bothered, but he did make a run and just fell back to 4th. 6-1 against Classic Empire wasn't too bad. So he's 4-1. He's got Centennial here, the big jockey of the track. So they're here to try and make the Triple Crown Series, and he's been facing tougher. So those would be my 3: the 3, the 8, and the 9 in this race. All right, Joe, what you got to say about the Sam Davis? Nice prep for 3-year-olds.
Yeah, it turned out it came up a really interesting race, probably because over the last couple of years there were no Derby points involved. This year, the Derby committee, the Derby Points Committee, or whatever they're called, actually gave it some points, so makes it a lot more interesting, and you can tell by the quality and the deep field that we received that it mattered. I like the 2 horses that you like, Ray. I like McCracken for everything, all the reasons you mentioned, and I like Fact Finding, but I like one horse a little bit more than both of them, and I like this. It's the 6, Wild Shot. He comes out of the same race that McCracken won at Churchill Downs, and what I seem to remember, and maybe it's just my memory that recalls, it seems as if when a lot of tracks, especially small tracks, have these big days, these tracks get pretty souped up and they get pretty speed favoring. So that's why I'm kind of like, I just went with the 6 and the 3, figuring that they're going to be the 2 horses on the lead or nearest to the lead. And I like the fact that Wild Shot was able to rate a little bit last time. So my guess is that Fact Finding will be on the lead. Wild Shot will set off of him. And I'm not sure the profile that I remember seeing, and I want to look at it quickly. It's pretty even. It's 50% for the E types and 50% for the late, the stalkers and the late closers. So I don't know. I can kind of think that the track may actually favor speed more tomorrow. And also the other thing I think about is that I think McCracken is probably his Barnes' best, the Barnes' best hope, at least right now. And I'm thinking they're wanting the horse to peak on the first Saturday in May, not necessarily win this race by 7. Not that the horse couldn't win even if he's at 50 or 60%, but this field came up pretty salty, and like I said, I just kind of like the speed. I think the speed may actually have a little bit of an advantage. So I just went with the 6 Wild Shot and the 3 Fact Finding on my top line, and I have McCracken underneath. Just like Ray mentioned, those 2 horses. I mean, they're the 3 I think most likely winners. I mean, again, it's a deep contentious field. We haven't even mentioned 2 Cassies, and there's a $1 million horse that Todd Pletcher brings across town with Jose Ortiz that we haven't mentioned either. So it's a deep field, but unfortunately, we have some kind of budget constraint. So like I said, I just went 6-3 on my top line, and the 8 would be an underneath horse, trying to see that maybe he's not 100% cranked for this spot, and maybe he can get a beat on a day like today. So 6-3 and 8 for me. Rich?
I agree with what Joe said there, and everything that I've heard so far. This race came up much saltier than what I would have expected for a place like Tampa Bay or Tampa Downs. I thought this one came up particularly tough. In the end, I ended up being the chalk, as you see where the check mark is there. Ian Wilkes and Brian Hernandez. Brian Hernandez, a local rider here at Tampa, so a very solid one. You guys heard me say it a few times before in this show. Tough to go against those or beware the unbeaten horse. And that's exactly what McCracken is. He looks like he's got a lot of talent. He's by Ghost Zapper. That's one of my favorite sires. And so he ends up on the top line along with, and I hate to do this because I usually try and recommend against this, but I'm going to go ahead and split my Todd Pletchers and go ahead and use the 3. So I've got the 3 and the 8 on the top line. I really wanted to put 3 on my top line. I'm very close to, and hearing that Joe, all the analysis that he brought to it, Wild Shot to me seems like he might be the most talented horse right now in this particular race, just being the speed type that he is. McCracken was able to run him down that last one, even though he didn't seem like he wanted to give the ground. It says that he yielded. I would have sat there and said more grudgingly, would have been the comment that I gave. It seemed like him and Corey Lannery were willing to put up a fight there at Churchill Downs. So, if you're into the forgiveness angle, which we've been talking about a little bit this year and things like that, then maybe you like the 6 over the 8 in this one to come back and rebound and just go with the 3-6. I went with 3-8 on top, and I have the 6 underneath, but I have no argument with the other way around. So that's how I went. I believe Ray's got the 3, the 8, and the 9, and Joe has 3-6 with the 8 underneath. All right, and here I come back. All right, and we are moving on to race number 11. This is going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. It is the Lamb Home South Endeavor Stakes. Grade 3, purse is $150,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward. 11 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 5. Isabella Sings, trained by Todd Pletcher and ridden by John Velasquez. She's 2-1 on the morning line. And Joe, as long as Tepin is not in the race, Isabella Sings, right?
Yeah, it's funny. You were talking about the turf profile when you mentioned the last race, and yes, it doesn't look like horses can win on the front end, but just looking at this race, I don't see a lot of speed in this race other than the favorite. She's got the best wins. She's got the best losses, having lost to Tepin twice. John Velasquez, Todd Pletcher, need say no more about that combination. I can't see going against the favorite, even regardless of the track profile. I just think she's the best horse, and to me, it doesn't matter. The best horse, ideally, I mean, in Utopia, the best horse should win, and I think she's the best horse. Now, if there's anybody who can run her down, I would go with the 7, Joe's D'Animo. I remember we talked about this horse at the Galleret on Preakness Day last year, and she ran a little bit of a disappointing race. She was on the lead. If I remember, like that track was really soggy. It was really wet that day. I see the turf. The track was labeled good that day, and obviously they were 24 and 150 flat.
No.
And I remember it was getting worse as the day went on. But she actually ran a really nice race at Tampa in April last year. in the race before the Galleret. So the horse has shown ability at Tampa Bay Downs at 10-1 in the morning line. And of course, if Brian Hernandez wins the race before it on McCracken, why not carry that momentum over to this horse to be able to run down the favorite? Because if it takes a horse like Tepin to run down the favorite, I'm pretty safe in taking Isabella Sings, and basically she would be a single for me. I would, if I wanted to cover, I would use the 7 underneath. So it would be 5 and begrudgingly put the 7 underneath for me. But again, I'm going against the track profile, and I'm taking the favorite, which are two things I really don't necessarily like to do. But I really don't see a lot of pace in this race. I don't see anybody really being able to harass this horse. I just hope she doesn't run out and lead by 16 after the quarter pole. I mean, but you know what though? It's funny though. Thinking back, Photocall did it to Tepin. So if this horse could do it, I mean, if Photocall could do it to Tepin, maybe this horse can do it to this field. So it's 5-7 for me. Pretty simple. Ray, I'll hand the baton off to you. What do you think? I'm sure Mr. Keno has more than 2 horses that he likes in this race.
I gotta tell you, this horse. I remember watching that Hillsborough race. That was like pretty ecstatic watching this horse go up at 18 and 20 lengths. Like, wow, I'm like, this is incredible. But she got more down, so.
Yeah, but it was Tepin who did it.
Yeah, no, yeah, Tepin put on her running sheet. Yeah, this race, catch me if you can. I mean, she's great stakes winner. Second race off the layoff, she's gonna be more tighter now. Actually, you say she could probably improve off that race. Johnny V's gonna have her. I mean, Johnny V might actually try and rate her a little bit. Like slow down the pace if you can. But if she wants to run, let her run. What the hell? Yeah, I'm gonna single her too. But depends. I'm looking also to beat her. Hopefully, a few other horses here. Number 1, Light in Paris. Second race off 11-month layoff. This horse could improve. Had race on the track. Another claimer fits in this 3 BG angle here, the grade 3. Hopefully, Chad Brown, one of the best turf trainers around, and Centennial, hot jockey at the meet. So if there's an upset, I would like think that this horse could do it. Also, number 8, Azalea, the 4th race in this country. The only win was optional claimer with Ortiz aboard, and Ortiz is back aboard, so he has experience with her winning. Miguel is 20%, so Chuck should have this horse ready too. So, but I would say Isabella Sings 5, with the 1-8 on the bottom. So it depends what kind of ticket I can make. So those are horses I would like to put in there. Rich, you gonna sing?
Well, Joe alluded to the problem with singling for me on this particular angle is I have that tendency to be one of the numbers guys as well, and Joe keeps he's mentioning the track profile for this particular race. So in the end, in an 8.5 furlong turf race at Gulfstream or at Tampa Bay. Sorry, I've been playing Gulfstream all week. I've got the Gulfstream on the brain. At Tampa Bay, they've had 38 races so far. They've got 5% winners, which translates out in my brain to 2 for 38. If I'm not mistaken, is what the math is so far. And again, just 34% coming from the front profile winners. Now, Isabella Sings would not qualify as an EP type at all. She is a strict E type. Isabella Sings when she gets out on the front and just likes to run away from people. And that was the only problem for me in this particular one was I would have loved to have just sat back and singled her and watched her run around by herself. I've just seen it a few too many times with her where she gets out there. She's on the lead by herself. I made the joke about it being Tepin, but other horses, Decida has run her down. Sandiva's run her down. Tammy the Torpedo. She's seen the back end of a few other horses. Even when she gets loose by 6.5, 7 lengths, which I imagine tomorrow is exactly what will happen with her. I know John Velasquez is a great rider, but the guys that have been on her before, Paco Lopez and Edgar Zayas, are not exactly slouches. Velasquez have been on her before when she tried to pull that trip in the Hillsborough. So I decided to go with one other horse in this one and not single. And Ray alluded to it. I'm hoping not to see a bounce on this one, but it's going to be Light in Paris. This is a Chad Brown trainee. You guys know this. I love the Chad Brown horses. He's got Daniel Centeno who is the local rider. Joe alluded to that, 28% winners for Daniel. So that's kind of like the Rafael Bejarano of Tampa, if you like. And the horse came back after an extended layoff, was around back in December of 2015, and was messing around with horses along the nature of Tammy the Torpedo and Celestine. So obviously had some talent at that point in time. Came back in February, wasn't quite right. Again, still messing around with Tammy the Torpedo, Reina de Bateria, and then finally gets the win when she comes back in January. So I thought that merited a chance as the one that might come and get Isabella Singh. So I went 1-5 here. I did not single. I used a pair. And I'd be open to any of the ones that I heard kind of underneath. If it's not Isabella Singh's, it seems to me that it could be anybody. I think I had lots of Lex as my other horse that I had down underneath. But I went 1-5 on top. I think Ray has the 5 on top with the 1-8 underneath, and Joe has the 5 on top with the 7 underneath. Okay. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and come back to you. I should have alluded to this a little bit earlier. So the Sam F. Davis Stakes, which we were talking about earlier, is for the TVG players out there in the audience. It is one of their covered stakes races. So if you bet, I believe, if you've opted in, so make sure you've opted in. I've been talking about this for a couple of times on it, but I think I had forgotten to mention it, that TVG does a little promotion out there, and you've got to opt in for the promotion to make sure you get it. I think you only have to opt in once for the whole year, and you're covered for the entire year for all of their stakes races. But for the Sam F. Davis Stakes, if you can bet up to $15 to win and your horse finishes second or third, you get a refund on your bet. And of course, if your horse wins, you get to take home the money. So one of the TVG promotions that's out there. All right. And we are on to race number 12, the finale. 7 furlongs on the main track. Maiden claiming 16,000. The purse is 13,700, and that includes $1,700 from the Florida Owners Awards. It's for maidens, fillies, 3-year-olds only. 11 starters, and your morning line favorite at 3-1 is in post number 4, Miss High Tide, trained by Gerald Bennett and ridden by Sammy Camacho. Okay, we got some familiar names and faces in those first 3 stakes races. Gentlemen, put on your Tampa handicapping derbies for the finale. Maiden, claiming dirt, the Bennett Camacho combo. Somebody give us a winner.
Ray, you take this one.
Ray, you get to lead this one up, buddy.
Wait, let me get my dice. Hold on.
Maybe get a dartboard I can borrow.
Oh.
Well, I'm going with first time starter. What the hell? Cal Mount Moon. Either I'm going to finish first or last here. Larry Valley actually has some good figures. First time out. I think over here, see. Let me get this horse here. 25% for the year, 27% first time starter, 28% debut maiden claimer. Caramel Moon.
Caramel Moon.
Number
Okay,
3, yeah.
I wanted to make sure I was on the right horse first. Okay.
Main claimant 24%. I like that. I mean, Pedro Carter's a little cold in the meat, but he's still 14% for the year. So he's been working decently. Why not? This horse could just blow out the field. I'm gonna put him on top. I like number 7, Sweet Cookie. Actually, second race was Shannon Uski. This horse been running steady, about evenly, 4th and 5th. Stretching out a little bit. That might make a difference because the pace might be a little different. Could have a good trip here. And then I'm going way up there. Number 6, Sweet Shack. 20-1, outrunning the debut. The horse won. Actually, the horse lost. The winner was about 9.5 lengths in front. So this horse actually only lost by 6 lengths. Past 5 horses in a stretch. Maybe they were backing up. Maybe just past tied horses, or She made some ground, but I'm gonna give her a second chance here. Uh, the trainer is actually 16% for the year, so he seems to know what he's doing. Second career race is also 16%. So if you see, and Alfred Clemente, well, 9 starts. Just stay aboard. Not too much experience here, but second race out, you never know. They usually horses do improve second time out. So he was 10-1. I actually get some play the first time out, so 10-1. So those are to be my horses: the 3, the 7, and 6, and I use all of them. Joe, uh, good luck.
I guess my favorite, the only thing I can really say, I mean, well, I can say a lot more, but the one thing I will say is, God, this is kind of why I would want to single Isabella Sings, so that I could hit the all button in this spot and not have to worry about which one of these horses. I will be kind and say horses crosses the finish line first. But I will go out on the limb and make a couple picks. I actually kind of like the Rail Runner, the one Too Much Tequila at 12-1, which of course after this race, you may actually kind of need a lot more tequila than you would think. But the horse actually showed a lot more speed last time out, and 7 furlongs, a mile, and 9 miles. When you get horses at this level, you want to be in front. You want to make somebody actually come and get you, because just going back and looking like, man, there are not a lot of horses who pass other horses in races like this. So if I don't like the rail going 7 furlongs, but the trainers, the barn's 4 for 12 over the last 30 days, and 21% with a positive ROI with this rider. So why not? I mean, in this spot, why not? I mean, you can pretty much throw a blanket over most of these, but I'll take Too Much Tequila at 12-1, and hopefully after drinking the tequila, if this horse wins, if we hit our pick 4, we'll be drinking champagne. Next, the other horse, I mentioned the 7. I'll mention the 7, Smooth Cookie. Like Ray mentioned, that the horse ran evenly last time out. Was only 3 lengths back after 4 furlongs in that last race. So the horse was in contention, and maybe this is a horse who could close. And basically, I was just looking, and I actually want to add one more pick to my ticket, would be the 8, Olaf Princess at 4-1. Not necessarily. I mean, if you look at the 2 turf races on our docket, they were bad. So toss the turf race, even though the figure is better than most of these other horses have earned, even on the dirt. But cutting back in distance from 2 turn races, 1 on turf, 1 on dirt. But look at the race 2 back on dirt. The horse actually closed ground in the stretch. So if there is a horse that could close ground, it would be the 8. And if you look 3 back in that maiden race, the one coming off the bench, the winner came back to win again. And the second horse came back to win again. So that was kind of a sneaky good race. And basically, I wonder if they darkened the form because of the horse tried the turf, which obviously she's proven that she doesn't like, and going 2 turns, maybe a new experience, but she did at least close ground. So I would go 1, 7, and 8. You have to use them all. I'd go as deep as I possibly could, and really, in order to stop handicap in this race, I would just hit the all button, because I don't really want to have to look at these horses again, except when they're coming down the stretch and I have one of them, and I'm screaming like Lee Davis, who may is Lee Davis any relation to Sam Davis? I don't know, but maybe like Team Rotundo on horse players. I'd love to just have the 3 of us standing there going wood, and watch this horse come home at 12-1. So 1, 7, and 8 for me, Rich. What can you add?
It's really not much. I mean, you said it all when you said we need the all button here. So if we are going to have to signal Isabella Sings, we might need it for this particular race. This has the words train wreck written all over it. As you can see, as evidenced by the fact that Rich, the most likely of the 3 broke eating guys to eat the chalk, has got his check mark, his pre-race check mark next to a 20-1 shot named Mo Bernini. So what happens in races like this where I cannot, and for those of you who ever, I handicap at night. So I handicap the races first, and I do my Three Broke Guys presentation, my notes afterwards. So I sit up at night, usually on Thursday nights, handicapping, and I spent about 20 to 25 minutes on this race last night, and I finally just went to sleep figuring, when I wake up in the morning, it's going to look better. Because it's happened before, right? Sometimes you look at a race the night before and you've gotten yourself tired and your eyes are you know what? I just I need a cup of coffee. I need to read the newspaper. And I need to look at that race again. I looked at it again and I said, son of a gun, it is the same race today as it was last night. It looks, now that I'm not as tired, it looks worse. Yeah, it genuinely looked worse this morning. So in a race like this where I can genuinely not settle on the chalk, Miss High Tide did not appeal to me, where none of the other attributes that I like to see in maiden claiming dirt, which I usually like to brag about, which is my favorite level and things like that, I end up going all the way back to my original handicapping things and stuff like that. I guess I crawl back into the fetal position, and I rely on things like breeding and pedigree, and I throw almost everything else out the window, such as running lines and how they've done, and the trainers that I know, and the jockeys that I know. All that kind of stuff just goes out the window. And what I'm looking for is an Uncle Mo, whose breeding fee cost $150,000, by a Bernardini mare, a second career race. So if you like to write the words improve in there, every once in a while, I do like to do that to try and give myself just the idea that Joe brought up at the very beginning of the season, which is, forgiveness, but, improvement in that second race after getting it, especially after you see that the horse was fractious in the gate in a 12-horse race. And so maybe expended a lot of energy before they ever got loaded, before they ever got into the gate. And here they were, by the time the race wasn't even 10, steps old, 12 lengths off the lead, 13 lengths off the lead, 12 lengths off the lead coming in the straight. Now, I know it looks like the horse did make up ground. I'll take another look tomorrow at the replay just to see how bad this race may have been. But I assume past tiring horses is what the race caller missed over here when they didn't put their fractious gait. So we'll see if the horse really did make up ground at the end. But I am essentially treating Mo Bernini, a son of Uncle Mo, by a daughter by Bernardini. I think I'm treating him like a first-time starter all over again, and just saying, you know what, let's put a line through this. Let's not even pretend that this one even happened, and let's go ahead and rely on a jockey that Joe and I have at least a little bit of a history with, which is Orlando Boca Chica, who came to ride out at Santa Anita way back when you and I went there that one day. I don't know anything about Timothy Ham. He's 0 for 9 on the season. But at least Boca Chica does have a bit of a riding history. So that was where my check mark ends up. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it on 20-1 in the finale. If somebody was going to force me to actually make a second pick in this race, and again, you would actually have to force me to make a second pick in this race because I just want the all button. I just want them all. But I went with the crazy named Peaky Girl. Looking for speed, looking for a horse who can get out there on the lead and things like that. Although, ironically enough, I had to sit there and say, looking for a horse who's got speed, and look who this horse's sire is. So you heard in the little intro that we were talking about that I like to bet California horses, and if I can't find a California horse, I'll bet a California sire. Damn it! So here's a son of Giacomo by a dam from Awesome Again. I imagine the horse is bred to go probably very long and rather slow. But in this particular case, why not? So if you needed to put a second one, this one definitely goes firmly on my second line, not on my top line. So I put Peaky Girl on the second line. I've got the 9, Mo Bernini, whose name I've already forgotten, on the top line. So I went 9-2. Ray, I believe, went with 7, 1-6-8, and Joe went with
3-7-6.
Oh, excuse me, 3-7-6.
Yeah.
3-7-6. So 3-7-6, and Joe, you are on 3-7-6 as well, right?
No, 1, 7, and 8 for me.
Oh, okay.
I want too much tequila.
I got on the other side.
And believe me, after looking at this race, Rich, I understand why you'd go crawl back into the fetal position. I would too.
Oh God, this was a tough.
This one was, this.
That's the challenge, That's the challenge. You get these races.
Yeah,
Somebody's gonna win.
Yeah. In this race, I'm not so sure.
All right.
Can we call it an 11-way tie?
This is how you make money.
Consolation pick for us.
This is how you score a big one.
Yeah, you hit the all button.
Uh,
God, man, that was hard. That one was. That
you
one
take
was.
your form and you just
You
start
know,
like, go like you
it's
roll
funny.
up like this, and you go.
I kind of wonder while Rich is getting up the template, and I kind of wonder, and maybe this would be a question for 1 week. What was the worst race we've handicapped in the almost 1 year that we've been on the air? And to be honest, this one's got to be close to the top. If it's not the top,
It's close.
it's close. If it's not the worst, it's pretty damn close.
That would beat it if they had to go a mile and eighth in this condition.
Well, if I remember,
oh man,
one of the days we handicapped Oaklawn, there were 2 stake races, and there were 2. One was like a non-winners, 2 lifetime for 5 claimers or something like that. That was pretty bad. But I mean, man, this one was. I mean, it's funny. Rich, I think some of the 20 claimers in at Santa Anita they'd be 1 to 5 in this race. Forget it. They just would. They wouldn't be able to compete with the horses out here. It'd be. I mean, heck. Wow, like I said, I'm just trying to figure out if that's the worst race we've handicapped in the year we've been on.
This is what you call the finale. The finale.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's like if you wanted to end Three Broke Guys handicapping with a race, that would be it. Not that I want to end this because this is obviously too much fun for all of us, but that was. Wow, I mean I understand why they didn't put the other stakes race in because there's a very, at least what I've heard, very talented New York horse named Elate running.
Oh, okay. So I was trying to figure it out from looking at the form, trying to figure out what happened there that we got this thing.
Yeah, Elate. Well, and the thing I think Elate's 9 to 5 on the morning line, and I don't think you're going to get anywhere near 9 to 5. I think you're looking at odds on at best. But that I think that might be why they decided to do that. Otherwise, I wouldn't. You'd have to call the people at Tampa and find out. I wouldn't be willing to venture a guess.
No, it's a horse race, and let's see.
Yeah.
Get somebody good.
But like Rich says, we try to find the best sequence in the country.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this race just happens to fall into the sequence.
This is the closest that I think, as far as looking around for the best race in the country, the closest that we've gotten to a kind of a nose bob here. So, Tampa, Gulfstream, and Santa Anita, very close cards. So, I don't know can you guys see it up on the screen right here? I think I've got this.
I do.
All right. And I've updated and put in that there's 11 horses in that race. So we've got 4 times 3 would be 12. 12 times 11, I believe, would give us
one. It's 132. It's actually 66.
Oh, 6. Yeah.
To be honest, I think that's a little steep for us.
Yeah, I believe so. So unfortunately, I felt that way with the all button in that last race as well. So I can go ahead and put in our. If we want, we can go ahead and start. I can open it to our.
Yeah, let's see. Because I think we mentioned about 7, maybe 7 or 8 of the horses.
Yeah, we could be putting the horses we mentioned.
Yep, hang on.
Yeah.
You're not mentioning.
We're not too far off.
Because it's not like to be honest. This last race, this was one of the last races that I don't really think I could put any horse on the top line. I don't think I could put any horse on any line in this race. I think everybody's a C+. Just looks funny. So that would be 42
That would be 42, I believe.
4 by 3 is 12 by 7. Yep, that would be 42.
Okay, so I can go like that because the 2 is on my bottom line. It's on my second line there.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
36.
That's
And to be honest with you guys, I can even pull off I can even take the 9 off on this one if we want, because I am the only one who has got.
well, but we're all the only one. I'm the only one who has the one.
No. Actually, you and Ray both have 6, 7. And
I didn't mention
I
the
actually
6.
like that horse, didn't I?
I didn't mention the 6. Ray and I both mentioned the 7.
Oh, 7. I'm sorry.
Only the 7.
You had
Other
one
than
7.
that, nobody else. No, there were no like picks in that race. So that's why I'm thinking.
So you had one. Yeah,
you just leave it on. Yeah, I had 1, 7, and 8. Ray had 3, 6, and 7.
3, 6, and 7. Okay.
And you had 2 and 9. So I mean, you could put the 2 back in and make it a $42 ticket. It's only $6.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I mean, honestly, you want in that race. I want to be if I'm alive, I want to be alive with as many, as many as we can get.
All right. So, yeah. The train wreck race.
Yeah.
1, 3, 6, 9. With
And what I think I would do is I would box the other 3 horses in the try. If we were alive, I'd box the other 3 horses in the try. So I could, or the other 4 horses.
All right. So we have I got 1, 3, 6, 9 with 3, 6, 8 with 5 with 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
And what the fun part is, we tossed the morning line favorite. Ironically enough,
yeah, with that many,
with that many, we don't.
Nobody went chalk. Well, in that race, you'd have been shot. So
Yeah, basically, I think the horse. It reminds me. I have a feeling it's going to remind me of one of those steeplechase races we'll watch in the morning. They're going to be. Like you said. I think train wreck is a very applicable description.
Alrighty, and I am going to go ahead and come back.
Awesome.
You've got that pick 4 down there, Ray? Or Joe?
I do, sir. I do. 1, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 8, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right. Oh, before I get ready to kick us off here for the innings, just one more heads up on another promotion from TVG for tomorrow. Again, another one that you needed to opt into. So if you go to their promotions page, you can go ahead and opt into this one as well. They are calling one lucky account holder tomorrow morning. So they're actually calling from their TV studio live on the air. And if you respond with the phrase, "I want to play for free with TVG," then you win $1,000. So just remember that, and you can go to your TVG promotions page and make sure that you opt in first, and then "I want to play for free with TVG" when you answer your phone. They're calling tomorrow morning from their TVG studios.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
As long as I don't have to put it on any horse in that last race, I'm okay. There you go. Forget picking the Derby winner or somebody in the Breeders' Cup with $10,000. You should have to try to pick that race. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we will not be back on time for next week to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. So before we get out of here tonight, I will make sure that I wish everybody out there and all the wives who put up with us while we do this a happy Valentine's Day next week.
Yes, happy anniversary too for me.
That's right. Ray's wedding anniversary. How many years is it now, Ray?
It'll be 13.
All
Congratulations,
13,
Ray.
yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
13. Sweet. I remember that. I don't want to go into details about Ray's wedding. Just the dessert room. Let's put it that way. Was all I need to say.
I was scared, man. It snowed the whole week before that.
No, actually, it turned out to be a beautiful day.
No, the day was nice, but early in the week it snowed heavy.
Anyway.
It was nice.
Happy Valentine's Day to my wife.
Yes.
She's a saint. She deserves everything she gets and 10 times more than I could ever give her.
Franz Valentine.
Oh goodness,
His old horse.
you're dating us, Ray.
Oh. Well, Valentine, the name.
Yeah, I know why you said it.
Oh.
Rich, are
Okay,
you out there?
He's talking. Oh, I lost his voice.
Oops. You know what? That's the darn. That's the darn.
Oh,
mute.
there you go.
One more time. So
I was going to send him a text. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if he was in the middle of our sayonara.
all right. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week because, well, that's what the three broke guys do. We will get together to take a look at another exciting card. Although at this point in time, we're not sure which card that's going to be. So just keep an eye on our Twitter feeds, and we'll let you know. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Yes, always a pleasure.
It's fun.
For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.
Good night.